Hey guys, Jamey Jordan here, and I want to take a second and show you guys a little bit about this adjustable shaft we have on the end of our machines and these stencil rolls that we have here. The neat thing about the adjustable shaft is it's going to allow you to be able to make multiple passes and create multiple beads by keeping the exact same roll on there just by opening the gap and changing the profile like we've done here. So we're going to do this panel where we're going to do one pass, we're going to open up the gap and do another one on this spine, and then we're going to open up the gap again and do another one on this one. So this will be 3 passes, this will be 2, and this will be 1, keeping the pressure pretty close to the same, but by opening the gap, we're able to create different profiles. Okay guys, one of the first things we're going to do before we start this panel is talk just a little bit about the stencil roll. The neat thing about the stencil rolls is you got a small profile on the end, and this small profile right here is going to allow you to be able to get into really tight grooves and really tight areas where a bigger roll like this wouldn't allow you to be able to do. Even a profile like this that we're trying to create where we're going to get ribs here, it's really nice to have a small die underneath there that's going to be able to lift the metal up without touching the other side where we're lifting and distorting that. So on this one, we're going to go for the stencil roll. Now that we're going to roll the panel, I want to be able to put 3 ribs in here. And we're going to run the die this way, and then we're going to spin the panel around and run it back the other way, creating ribs on each one of these. But the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we're not going to add too much pressure, because all we're doing is stretching metal when we're bead rolling. And I want to make sure that I don't overwork the panel knowing that I'm going to put 3 passes in. And most of the times when I'm working aluminum or anything soft, even steel, I'm always going to make more than 1 pass on anything I do. So keeping that in mind, keeping a light pressure on this one, having a nice 1/8 to 1/4 inch gap right here to start this panel, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So we're going to find out. You start to see the panel move here. We're starting to get connection here. So we're going to come around 1 full round, all the way to here, and give it some gas. Keeping everything nice and even, keeping the panel going flush through there. Making sure the panel isn't jumping or hopping around on one side or the other. We're going to get to here, stop. We're going to repeat that same process going the other direction. Line number 2, same thing, keeping the pressure the same, run the same line. Making sure to keep that pressure even. When I think about this dial, I'm thinking about this being a clock, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So every time I run it, I try to keep in the back of my head where I'm starting at and where I'm stopping at. So I'm feeling pressure up here at 12. I'm going from 1 full round, and I'm going back to 12. And repeat on the last line. All right, so what we've done is we've got three lines here. They're rather faint, but you should still be able to recognize that we have put 3 lines in, one going one direction, one going the other, to start to create the rib. Now, what we're going to do is open up this gap, maybe an 1/8. Just by simply turning the collar and you can check the gap between the roll and the collar, how much you're moving out, slide the die in, and tighten it up. Now we've created a totally different profile between these two rolls. So, when I put it in, and I go to tighten down, my pressure point is going to change just a little bit. Where it was more over here, it's now down in here, since we've opened the gap. So what we want to do is try to keep that consistent. So we're going to go one round, but we're going to go over to here now. So, one full round. Keeping everything nice and even. Just holding pressure over here with my left hand. Remember what I was saying about the pressure? You start to see the panel move. So we want to go one full round. Keep in mind, your pressure is your most important thing. You never want to try to push it all in at one time because you're going to wind up overstretching the panel. And I know a lot of people talk about pre-stretching and using English wheels and other ways to do it. It's a great way to do it. But if you just take your time and use your adjustable shaft, you can stretch this metal nice and evenly and get the ribs you want without having to use a secondary tool. Now, you saw how it hit the table there? That's gonna happen. Things are gonna happen. Don't freak out. Just keep your head down, keep going. Don't worry about what happened then, worry about what happened now. All right? So as you can see, since I opened in that gap and adding just a little bit more pressure, we were able to create a different profile. So, keeping that in mind, we're gonna open it up one more again and go ahead and get a little bit bigger rib there. Adding just a little bit more pressure as we go. So, this one, we're pushed back as far as we can on the top. So since we wanna open the gap, I'm gonna reach for my wrench and turn the bottom out. And simply adjusting the nut to the bolt, turn the collar out, we're able to create a much larger profile by using the top and the bottom adjustable shaft. So we're going to go for this last one right here, and we're just going to do this one. Now, keeping in mind, same thing we've gone over before, pressure starts somewhere else now, right? So now it's down in here. So we're going to go ahead and give it a little bit more pressure. Keep in mind that spot there. Keeping everything nice and even and flush as it goes. And you should see this rib pop up a lot more. So, see how it's going to start here? And we're going to go ahead and put a little bit more pressure on it, making sure we don't hit. And if you notice right before I made this line, I kind of rocked it back and forth a little bit. I was checking my pressure. I always need to make sure. You always want to make sure where you're at. But as you can see here, we've got 3 full ribs. A little bit more progressive, a little bit more as they go. And we've all done it with the same roll. You just saw me put 3 ribs in a panel. And each one of them have different depth, and each one of them have different width. And by simply just adjusting this collar out and working with the gaps between these two, I'm able to create these different profiles. And making sure that I don't go over with the pressure and overworking it too much in the first pass. Because if you overwork it too much in the first pass, it's going to be really, really hard to do that third pass and not warp the panel up. So for me, multiple passes, watch your gap, you should be good.